And hello, fellow raiders. Welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. Do a brief overview of recent events. There was a number of uh, column bait events that I'll talk about in a minute this week. We are just starting the new fusion. I am recording this on a Friday. This fusion just came out, I believe, this morning, or maybe it was yesterday. It was yesterday, actually. Yesterday was the 30th. And this is one of those, second time we've had this. This is the Brogni style fusion where you have to fragment all these ones up, and then you only get a shot at the legendary if you don't miss basically anything, which I think is awful. Surprised they kind of did this style fusion again after no one really enjoying the last one. I haven't decided whether or not this guy's worth it yet. He doesn't seem very good to me. Kind of like the Knight Revs. Gal puts up decreased defense because they don't really have a good champion for that except Tomb Lord. I do have Tomb Lord, so lucky me. And this Void Dwarf, who's a really good extender and healer. So if you aren't going to do the whole fusion, I'd say get the Dwarf. They also announced some interesting balance changes. Eurogrim is getting a fairly significant nerf unless they reconsider. And the only notable buff I saw I thought was interesting was Tomb Lord, the champion I use, is getting kind of a double pronged buff, which is quote unquote good. He's getting a buff, but also kind of bad because they're extending the duration of his poisons, which might make him trickier to use on certain bosses. Specifically the transfer debuff bosses, which is the faction war boss for Knight Rev and the Griffin boss in the Doom Tower. As far as what I've been working on, I have been working on my missions diligently. I've hit the 30k event points. Apparently I'm first in a tournament somewhere. This hurdle mission, there's just a lack of events in the game. There's training, dungeon divers, and enhancement, and that's basically it. We just had a training event going into this fusion, 14,000 and change points. So I actually did that because I need points. So I have been working on a bunch of food prior to this fusion dropping. So now I'm working on the fusion. As far as champions I've been building, I have been leveling up. I pushed my Oathbound to 60 or to 6-star. I had him at 5-star for a long time. Very good champion. I'm pushing up Genbo just because Swift Parry in Arena is starting to be more and more of a problem. So we're going to make use of that. And Sandlash Survivor. So when I go second and I get my team nuke down, her passive can kick in and save the day. I also pushed up Eurogrim just because. Why not? I'll build him to do the solo Scarab Lord strat at some point. I haven't finished building him, but he's 6-star 60. He's got his masteries, and he'll level slowly. So the main topic of the video today is skipping events in Raid Shadow Legends. We had a great example this past week of what I call bait events. They're trying to get you to use resources at bad times. So the first of those was there was a Lady Kimmy summoning event going on. I think that was last week. Lady Kimmy is a pretty good champion. However, there was no corresponding champion chase tournament for her. So you can't earn any rewards for pulling shards. It was just Lady Kimmy. This was outside of a 2x event. and so it was not really worth the shards for me. I would say, in general, if you're going to pull shards, make sure you get stuff for them. So I did a pass on Lady Kimmy. Maybe I'll pull her today. Who knows? The next event they had was the double Lego event from a Sacred Shard. I passed on that as well because same reason. It's again, these are events leading into a fusion, leading into 2x ancients, and they're trying to just bait you to pull these shards. Then the third example they did of this was the Cold Guaranteed Champion. Pull 7 voids and get a Cold. Now that's actually not a bad deal. The problem though is that they had just had the 2x voids, so no one should have any. No one should have any void shards. So that's kind of what we call an obvious money grab, where they know you're out of shards and you just pulled shards hoping you get something good. And oh look, you're out of shards. You want a Cold Heart? Pay us some money. Excuse me. A pretty crappy thing to do. So fortunately, I had a Cold Heart. Didn't need to do it. Again, there was no summoning event for it. I don't know why they do that, but there you go. And so those are all the summoning baits that I skipped out on. If you did, of those, I think the Lady Kimmy one was probably the most reasonable because you can always buy ancients out of the shop for gems if you really want to. I was considering that. I decided not to do that because it would be a lot of gems, for 150 shards. Moving on, we had a couple interesting dungeon events as well. One was the Dark Elves farming the Dragon's Lair. I don't know if that's still visible here or not. I don't think. Oh, there it is. It was this one. I skipped this because the rewards just weren't very good. I spent the energy I was at the time on masteries because I knew we were going to go into this fusion anyway, and just building a Dark Elves team for pretty meh rewards. Like if you're a farming dragon and you can do this, fine. Like go ahead and do these kind of events. But I wouldn't go out of your way for these because they are so seldom. The rewards are pretty low. If they actually offered something interesting, that might actually change my mind about that, but they just haven't done that. We also had a couple dungeon events for 2x speed, Ride and Dragon, which is good. I mean, I would say do that even if there isn't a dragon tournament. And there was a 2x for regeneration gear. Regeneration gear is okay. It wasn't super important to me to do that, even though I have Eurost, and I think I have some decent gear for Eurost. But if I don't do regeneration on Eurost, I would do Guardian instead. So for me, for events that I skip in general, I skip training events outside of fusions. Which I said I just did this last training event. Again, I only did that because of this mission. That was the only reason I did that. But in general, these days, I personally am skipping training events almost entirely, except if I have to do them for this fusion, for example. Artifact enhancement events, we have one coming tomorrow. I do these just because I'm doing a bunch of artifacts these days. Dungeon divers, I generally do, especially if they line up with dungeon tournaments, which we have right now with a spider tournament. And it's a fusion, so yes, do all the things in the fusion. Outside of a fusion, I will do a dungeon divers if it lines up with tournaments. Summoning events, I kind of already went over how important those were. And then there's arena events, which I kind of consider freebies or gimmies. I mean, I just burned a bunch of my tokens and somehow ended up in first. I don't know. I probably will not stay here. It's just how the tokens worked out for my refreshes currently, but who knows? Maybe not. Then there's Tag Team Arena tournaments, and if you can actually place first in that, you get some good stuff. But that's kind of a question of, are you willing to drop for Tag Team Arena? Tag Team, from what I've observed, is now the tournament's usually on the weekend, and it's usually around reset time because they want you to actually struggle. I do not do that. I do a gold 3, gold 2, back and forth. So there's not going to be a tournament this week. I'm going to try to struggle up into gold 3, and then next week when the tournament is happening, I will just drop down to gold 2 again. That a weak defense, fight other weak defenses. Not worry about it, because this is such a painful mode to have to struggle with. All sorts of shenanigans in there. So that is my approach to events and what I do and what I skip. And now we're going to summon and see how lucky we are. We are looking for 5,500 points because I like to get books. So even when I summon and I get nothing, there's a champions, I at least get the consolation prize of a couple books. So I need to pull up a calculator off screen here just to keep track of my points, because math is hard. So let's cross our fingers and see what we get out of the 2x ancients here. Sanguina, Galcut, Dupe, nothing all that interesting. 580 points down. What else are we going to get here? Oh, I got gold. I got a Longbeard as a dupe. Didn't want a Longbeard. The Longbeard is actually one of my earliest legendaries. I built him for clan boss, and I never used him for clan boss. If the dupe system ends up being terrible, this will be a book, because I actually got lucky with my Longbeard, and I got the cooldown on the ally attack in one book. I totally forgot what the number was, so I think that's 1,000. We'll guess. All right, well, that's unfortunate. Let's keep going. So that resets my pity, so of course you never really want to hit pity. Hermit I didn't build him, but here. 30, 40. And we'll keep going. Kalia, I actually built Kalia early on. She's kind of one of my regrettable champions. Don't build Kalia. Another 340. I'm about halfway to what I need for 2 Lego books. A Vergis, if you want to solo Scarab Lord with the Vergis method, you can do that. I never did. Another 340. Should be around about 2,600 now. I would love to get some fusion epics. If I got any of those, that would be wonderful. But nothing so far. Zakara, Matt Capper has done a video on Zakara, I think. Her and her sister that's pretty interesting, but I don't know that she's worth building. I've never taken the time to build the Barbarian Sisters. I actually have a bunch of Barbarian rares like Soul Bond that I built instead to do secret rooms. Oh, you're going to be 10. Oh, I get it. Like Alika. Oh, there's the sister. And there's the other one. I was talking about them, and they showed up. Who should I talk about? How about Lysandra? Lysandra's a good champion. How about Lysandra? I don't have Lysandra. Or one of the fusion champs. Ooh, a lot of epics there. Belga's good support. Never built her. Soul Drinker is not. Don't build him. Rearguard, I built one, but I never really used her that much. She's actually a pretty decent champion, just takes a ton of books. All right, I'm about 4,100. I need 1,400 more. Sinesha, good champion. Agebreaker, not very good. Ultimate Gaelic, not very good. All right, this might be the last 10 pull here if I get anything decent, but we'll see. Again, I might get nothing. I have very low expectations. I would love a fusion champ. Candace is terrible. Grimskin, terrible. Fusion champ? Fusion champ? Yes? No? Maybe so? Ooh. So, I may or may not be at where I need to be for this tournament. I pulled nothing that I want to build. Absolutely nothing. And I have just the number of points that I thought I did. And I'm not going to flex my EP and pull more shards just to force my way into top 2, right? So yeah, that's what I got. I got a bunch of food now for oh, thanks for spamming. I don't need any of that stuff. I got a bunch of food now. I pulled 100 shards. 100 shards got me 2 Lego books. So I had a chance to get something good, but I did not. I got the Longbeard, who don't really care about. He's one of the many dupe Legos I have. We'll just throw in the vault, and there he is. Don't know if I'll ever do anything with him, but there he is. And that's it. Kind of a disappointing shard pull, but that's how most of them are. Hopefully you had better luck, and I will see you guys next time.